Welcome to the Fossil Bowl, one of our favorite tracks and one of our favorite areas of Idaho.
The weekend is off and running.
This track's been around over 50 years, making it one of the oldest continuously running tracks in the country. My dad raced there in the late 70s and early 80s, and now I get the privilege to watch my son race there over 4 decades later. Not only that, this weekend's races make up the final 2 rounds of the Gold Cup Dealer Challenge Series. This is Bubs' first series championship, and at this moment in time he finds himself only a few points behind the top dog in his class, our buddy, number 100, Caden Jones. Per the usual, we missed the practice rounds, so his first moto was his first time around the track. I suspect that this was his biggest test to date. Not only are some of the local kids extremely fast, but the track itself is not for the faint of heart either. Side note, this part was actually kind of funny. Not that Caden crashed, but that he crashed doing exactly what his mother, myself, his coach at the time, and pretty much everyone in his crew kept telling him to stop doing. Using his rear brake only and sliding into corners. He's a great kid and a very talented rider, but I think this was one of those weekends when the bad habit bit him enough that it acted as its own cure.
I understand why you insist on learning things the hard way, Trey, but you gonna learn.
Anyways, I've heard people say if you can ride the Fossil Bowl, you can ride anywhere. My experience with other tracks isn't broad enough to be able to tell you if that's true or not, but judging by the amount of crashes he has in this first moto, I suspect it may be. The class structure was a little bit different than we were used to at ECMX. They had all the 50s run together in the same race, so it was a bit difficult to tell who was who. I've heard a theory that if you want to find your speed, it's best to spend your time getting good at cornering and ruts first. When I watch this moto, I tend to agree. At this point, Bubs had only been racing for about 5 months, but most of those laps were spent on fast tracks with very few ruts. It's a skill he just hadn't had much practice with.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it.
One of the things I like about these videos is from a coaching perspective, I get to formulate my thoughts a bit better when I have time to sit and think about it. In the moment, I always feel a bit like Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder when he tells Harry,
I'd like to help out, but I can't. I'm an idiot. I don't have the vocabulary.
in this case, if I remember right, my explanation was simple enough for any 8-year-old to understand. All I said was that rather than letting off the throttle mid-turn, all he needs to do is use the front brake at corner entry to load the front end and increase the traction until he gets through the apex of the turn, and then, as soon as possible, get off the front brake and smoothly roll the throttle on to shift the weight off the front end and onto the back end to make the bike easier to ride as he comes out of the corner. You know, simple, 8-year-old stuff. While that all makes sense in my head, when you're talking to a distracted 8-year-old between motos, you might as well be speaking in tongue, cause he ain't listening. Which brings me back full circle to the advice about cornering. The lesson I learned here is that whether you're talking to a distracted 8-year-old or not, I don't think a whole lot of cornering speed improvement can come from explanation alone. There's no easy way around it, pun intended. You just have to practice. I think it's as my igloo dwelling buddy Chris says, find a field, plot a figure 8, and ride the same line over and over and over again to form a deep rut, then ride it some more. of this upload, we're already halfway through the next season, and we have new riders, new tracks, new friends, and tons of improvement. If you want to come along for the ride, be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to say hi in the comments below. Cheers.